Wonder whether to sing it this time. Oh, Vienna. Hearts on song as they stage a remarkable comeback to make the Conference League. Can tonight's trio of sides take inspiration from the Jambo's heroics? Hello, I'm Jonathan Sutherland, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views, and analysis on Thursday, the 27th of August. Hearts enjoyed one of their greatest European nights in their history. Can the other Scottish sides follow suit later today?
Straight run up, now he moves to the left. Forward, stutters, right footed. Yes! It's saved! It's saved! Hearts are heading to the Conference League!
Motherwell in need of a shock result to come back against Freiburg. Can they pull off a miracle? It's all square between Hibs and Gent. Can David Gray's side make history and become the first ever Hibs team to play European group stage football proper?
I spoke at the very start of the season about special nights in Europe, and I'm pretty sure this would be one of the most memorable nights in the club's history if we can go and achieve group stage football.
And what about Rangers? A flat start to the season. Could it be sparked into life with a convincing win tonight? Or will they blow it in Jablonec?
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
It is a good morning to the Herald's football writer-at-large. Is that the right title, Stephen McGowan?
It is.
Good.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Felt it sounded a bit weird when I said it there, but it's a great title. I'm very jealous of it. It sounds like
listen, it's nothing to do with me. They just, I just go along with it.
It sounds like you can just like swan around pretty much.
But
do whatever you like.
Yeah, it does exactly right. Yeah. It does exactly what it is. Yeah.
You deserve that, Stephen.
Thank you.
No problem. We're also joined by Hibs legend Joelle Murray. Joelle, I don't know if you've seen it on social media this morning. The tweet from Hearts after last night: winning playoffs in Austria isn't for everyone. See where they're going with that?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Quite salty, good banter. Do you like it?
I don't mind a bit of banter on social media. I know that as a club, Hibs have done it, so I think it's one of those ones. If clubs can give it out, clubs can take it. Thick skin.
I think a lot of people have liked it, Stephen, haven't they? Obviously a little dig at Celtic, but...
Yeah, there were plenty of Celtic fans coming back and saying winning league titles isn't for everybody either. So these things always work both ways. But okay, listen, if you get upset by that, then you really have a problem, to be honest with you. Fair play.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, Hearts did lose 6-0 on aggregate to Sturm Graz. They lost 7-1 on aggregate to Benfica, but they are in the Europa Conference League group stage proper. And yes, Stephen, it was a fantastic achievement, wasn't it, from Wouter Vranken's side? A big, big moment.
Big boost for everybody, I think. I think what happened in Austria the previous night, I think had been quite a blow to the pride of Scottish football, really. Look, this is a national game where rivalries are tough as teak, and lots of people were laughing up their sleeve because, that's just the way rivalry works. That's fair enough. But yeah, it was a blow to the prestige of Celtic. It was a blow to the prestige of Scottish football. And I think an awful lot of people expected a fairly similar outcome from Hearts because clearly they'd been well beaten by Benfica, given the budgetary deficit. That's fair enough. I think Sturm Graz had been a bigger shock, a 6-0 aggregate defeat. So trips to Austria had not gone well for Scottish clubs, and for Hearts to not only produce a big result, but to do it in real adversity, losing a player in Thomas Magnuson and having to do it with 10 men and then having to bounce back for a penalty shootout after having a 2-1 lead snatched away. I think that was a really outstanding effort from Hearts and a big boost for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel gloomy this week, didn't it, Joelle? And I'm not going to ask you to wax lyrical too much about Hearts as you sit there in your Hibs tracksuit right in front of me here, ready for action. But after Tuesday night's terrible collapse from Celtic, Stephen's right. I mean, it just kind of puts a cloud over the whole of Scottish football. for what Hearts did last night, it gets things on an upward curve. You hope, and shows the other three Scottish clubs tonight what can be done, because you're worrying that the old coefficient's a little bit going to be on life support after this week with the way things started this week for Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was watching that Celtic game the other night, and I thought back to a comment I'd made on the podcast last week. I said Celtic would progress unless they had an utter collapse, and that's exactly what happened. And you're right. I think the way that Celtic performed or didn't perform in large spells of that game the other night, I think pride was somewhat restored last night. I thought, yeah, I am a Hibs fan, but I can appreciate football. And I thought Hearts managed the game extremely well. They rode their luck at times. Of course they did. Obviously, going down a player, soaking up a lot of pressure. And then that goal from Calvin Miller, unbelievable goal, an opportunity to get up the pitch. And you could see just as he progresses up the pitch, he maybe tweaks something, his groin, as he strikes the ball, he maybe tweaks his hamstring. But I think that shows the character of the team, but also him willing to put his body on the line when it matters most, knowing that was one of few opportunities for them to progress up the pitch. And what a goal it was. So, yeah, not a Hearts fan, but I can appreciate good football, and I think the way they managed the game was unbelievable, and like I said, restores a bit of pride for Scottish football.
Yeah, there was something about the way Calvin Miller celebrated that goal. I'm not sure if it was a Shetland word or not, but he was sort of hirpling along afterwards in celebration like he'd hobbled his ankle or something, Stephen, and it had one of those feels of a night of real heroism for Scottish football that we sorely needed.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a difficult start to the season, and that's understandable because they lost their manager, they lost their captain, they lost one of their key midfielders, all three of them to Rangers. They've had to bring in a new coach, they've had to rebuild the team. Calvin Miller, I think for the Scots guys to go there, it's almost harder because I think players from here tend to be judged and given less of a rope sometimes than the overseas players and less settling in time. And I think Hearts have taken time to find their feet after a difficult start, but it looks like Wouter Vrancken has steadied the ship now, as if he's beginning to get a tune out of the team. It's good to see guys like Josh McPake coming in as well. They got good contributions off the bench from like Kajota and Rogers Matos. So, yeah, I think there's reason for Hearts to be cautiously optimistic now. The big challenge for all teams who get to these group stages is that balancing the demands of the midweek games on a Thursday and then the league games on a Sunday has tended to be a big challenge in the past. But they'll take that right now because it's not only £5 million, but it's the prestige of playing in the Europa Conference League after some really difficult results and really good news for the co-official, which, by the way, to flip it on its head with regards to Celtic, we'll probably get a bit of a boost from Celtic being in the Europa League because there's a chance, I would argue, that they might win a game or two there as opposed to what was happening in Champions League.
Fantastic. I was about to give the coefficient a kiss of life, but that's good news, Stephen. I won't need to bother with that. That's good news. We've spoken a lot about Hearts here and we'll move on, but should just point people in the direction of the previous Scottish football podcast, basically the best bits from Sportsound last night. Great commentary from Thomas Duncan and Ryan Stevenson and Alan Preston, just loving it. So delve into the Scottish football podcast archives from yesterday for that one. Let's talk about Motherwell. They need a miracle, Joelle. But I just sometimes feel with the sort of magical style of football that Jens Bertolascu put on that club and that it's been continued by Alfred Johansson, I'm allowing myself to dare to dream slightly if they get an early goal. And you know what? Lask, they didn't even get an early goal and they still managed to come back against Celtic. So in this week, it shows that football really can produce incredible things.
Yeah, absolutely. So unpredictable. And like you said, I think if they can replicate that early goal like they got last week, then who knows? And I love the way that Johansson looks at things, his beliefs, his outlook. He says we just need to stay true to ourselves. He knows he's got a team of really good individual players, but individual players who can come together collectively and play the way that he wants them to play. So I love that comment he made the other day, staying true to themselves. And I do believe that if they can get an early goal, the tie just opens up once again. So yeah, I'm really excited about that fixture this evening, because albeit on the face of it, 3-1, a lot of supporters may be thinking the tie's done, but like you said, the unpredictability of the games, the 2 games already this week, have shown that anything can happen.
Stephen, you've been at the Scottish football coalface for, I don't know how many decades.
Too long. Too long. I think we can all agree on that.
I'm looking for some gnarled football realism to try and puncture this bubble around Motherwell that I have started. Joelle's continued.
Yeah, well, I don't give Motherwell a chance. Is that realistic for you? I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
I, to be honest with you, I felt that before the first leg as well. I mean, I don't think it's a bigger issue. I don't think Freiburg should be in the Europa Conference League. I don't think the clubs from the Big Five nations should be in there. I think the competition was supposed to give nations like Scotland and smaller leagues a chance of actually dining at the top table of European football. And as long as you're coming up against the Europa League runners-up and teams like Crystal Palace and West Ham, then with the superior budgets they have, that's going to be well nigh impossible. So I'm certainly not criticising Motherwell. I think it was always going to be a really onerous task for them. They lost the first leg 3-1. I think going to Germany, if they were to pull anything at all off there, it would not only be the biggest result in Motherwell's history, it would be one of the biggest European results in Scottish football history. I think that's the scale of the task that's facing them. And to be honest, I think I would have got so much admiration for the continuity Motherwell have, and for what Alfred Johansson has done coming into a quite unenviable task, replacing Bertolascu. I just don't see it.
Okay, let's move on to Hibs, Joelle, because they have managed that draw, the 0-0 draw away to Gent. I would imagine it will be a rapturous night, certainly to begin with, at Easter Road this evening. And so much expectation, so much hope. First and foremost, how are you feeling about it right this moment?
Excited about it. Obviously, the club standing on the brink of history. I'm excited. I think, albeit you could look at last week's game and look at it as a bit of a boring game, 2 teams kind of not really wanting to show too much of their hand, but I think this evening's game will be a completely different one. A sellout at Easter Road, an evening game. I think we'll see Hibs attack a lot more than they did last week. Obviously, they need to do that. I'm excited about this evening's game, and like I said, I think the magnitude of it, what it stands for, what it could be. There's a real buzz around the training centre, and I'm really looking forward to being there and watching how it unfolds.
I mean, it does feel like a big pressure match as well for David Gray and his players. Stephen, David Gray talking in his pre-match press about how it would mean so much to the American ownership group that group stage football would mean, and for Hibs as well, first Hibs team to get into proper European League stage football. Does that work for Hibs for you tonight, or against them a little bit, or will the packed Easter Road crowd, with the hope and expectation of a rendition of Sunshine on Leith at the end, will that pull them through?
Well, Joelle will be better qualified to comment on this than me, but I think if you say, does pressure work for Hibs as a club over the years, then not always. So it's a shame, because we shouldn't be talking about this, because I think Hibs were the one that I really fancied after the first round of games. Didn't really think Hearts would go and do it. They confounded us. So this is the one I've had high hopes for, but it's interesting. Joelle raised an interesting point, and they've got to attack, but they don't need to be gung-ho. I mean, it's 0-0. Quite often, sometimes when the teams draw the first leg, as we saw with Hearts, the second leg can be quite similar. But 1-0 will do it for Hibs just fine. So but they've been pretty impressive in these games so far, and it would be absolutely terrific if we had both Edinburgh teams in the group stages. Because for me, over the years, we talk about the failure of Scottish football clubs in Europe. I think the Edinburgh clubs have been massive underachievers, perennial underachievers. And, relative to our budget, it would be great if Hibs could go and make that history, including the £5 million it goes with it as well.
Joelle, I'm a big fan of Owen Elding. I think, he looks like he's got real potential. Concerned to see he's a slight injury doubt for tonight. Is that a big concern for you?
Yeah, a massive concern. I think he has really been a standout so far this season for me. Has not only his goals, but his work rate. And it's not just work rate in and around the box, but his ability to recover the ball deep in the pitch, play forward, support forward. So that's a concern. Because of all of that, I think we need his energy. We need his goals. He was unfortunate to miss the penalty last week, but he had the confidence and bravery to step up. And for someone so young, I think that's massive. So yeah, a slight concern there. But if he doesn't make it, we've got players like Suto, obviously Martin Boyle, Nathan Lowe. So I think from open play, we've got the ability to create and score. But equally so, you know yourself how big set pieces are in the modern day game. From set pieces, we've got the aerial threats and Warren, Nathan Lowe, Jason Kerr, if they all start. So yeah, a concern. But I believe we've got the squad depth and quality to bring somebody else in to replace if he doesn't make it.
There's a big night of European football sports sound on air at 4:30, and we haven't even got to Rangers yet. So let's talk about Rangers. 1-0 up from the first leg against Jablonec. They're in the Czech Republic. Today, Stephen, it's been a bit flat overall, you'd have to say, from Rangers so far with the Derek McInnes new era. Really just that big victory in the League Cup against St Mirren to get the juices flowing as far as the fans are concerned. How concerned are you tonight about Rangers' chances?
I think Rangers have been like a revolving door at the start of the season. It's still going on. I mean, they've travelled to Jablonec without Nico Raskan, who's expected to leave now. I think that's always been anticipated after the really good World Cup, that he would be one to go out the door and bring in a few quid. And they're certainly not allowing the money to gather interest. I mean, they are looking to bring in Kim Min-soo, a Girona Korean winger. Talk of like £8 million, £8.5 million. And of course, the Portland Timbers striker Kevin Kelsey, who is probably a marriage they didn't really want to have to make. But of course, the injury to Yusuf Chamiti left him with very little choice. So, that's going to be up to, I think that's going to be up to like 13, 14 signings for Derek McInnes this summer. So it's still a team in transition, Rangers. Still trying to find his best 11. And you still worry about their defensive frailties at times. I mean, there's been speculation about Manny Fernandes, whether he will be there, whether he will go out the door as well, with big interest from Germany. And you know what? I think Rangers really just need to get this transfer window out of the way to get players out the door, get players in, settle down, and just try and get some kind of consistency of selection, which I think has been really difficult for Derek McInnes so far. And while he's had that, he's been having to try and keep the wheels from the door, which at Rangers, they're never very far away. So I think it would be a real blow to Rangers if they had no European football at all. Difficult psychological test when you're going away 1-0 up from the first leg. How do you approach that? Joelle's probably better qualified to talk about that than me, but as I've seen with Celtic, it can be a tricky one to go away and protect a lead. So, difficult game for Rangers. I think given what's happened already this season, I think fans will be slightly nervy going into that one, but got to be cautiously optimistic they can pull that off and secure group stage football of some sort for this season.
I don't know, Joelle, how much you've seen of Rangers this season in terms of style of play. But Stephen's point there with that 1-0 advantage taken into this away match against Jablonec, how do you imagine Rangers will approach it? How do you think they will fare?
Yeah, I think one thing for me is I wouldn't be going over there in the mindset of just defending the 1-goal lead. It is a tricky, as Stephen said, it is a tricky kind of predicament to be in, because you don't want to go out and attack and be expansive, leaving space for the opposition to exploit. But equally so, I don't think they can go over with that mindset of just defend, because what you do is you encourage pressure, you give them momentum, you give them hope and belief. And then it can become a bit frantic. So I think there needs to be that positive approach, approach it as a, and as cliche as it sounds, as it's a 0-0 game. Go out, try and get the first goal, and then you can kind of change your mindset a little bit. But it is a very, very tricky result to go over there with. And I think Stephen made a fantastic point about the transition of players in and out. Rangers aren't, and they won't be in a new normal until that window shuts, until they get the players in they want, until they know they've got that squad completed, and until they get the players in and settled off the pitch. And then you'll see probably the best version of them on the pitch, because I know myself, the transition of players coming in at our club, it provides not an unnecessary distraction, because you need to do it, but it provides a distraction that once the window shuts and it's complete, a position that we're in at the moment, the complete squad, it just lets you focus on the football. So I think until that point comes, Derek McInnes will still have these, well, they won't, they, are they in, are they not in scenarios. So yeah, a very tricky one for Rangers tonight. On paper, I think they should win, but like we've seen so far this week, that isn't always the case.
Yeah, what do people in football think of the transfer window, Joelle? I mean, as a journalist, I hate it. Just constantly puts kind of this monkey on your back and this pressure. I just wonder if it does the same with people in football as well, because it's kind of like, it feels more like show business sometimes these days.
You keep on getting the scoops though, Stephen. It must be good for business.
I think you've confused me with someone else.
It's really difficult, because there's the pressure of, and I get obviously the roles that I've been performing over the last kind of couple of months at Rangers. There's people that do that in every single facet and department, but there's a lot of pressure to replace players that have departed with the same, if not better quality. And of course, having agents in the mix now, especially in the women's game, it's kind of new. You add that into the mix, and yeah, it's just difficult, because there's pressure, there's expectation to replace quality for quality. And then there's just the uncertainty of, are we going to replace someone better, or can we do that player? And then you get so far, you spend a lot of time and effort, conversations with players' agents, and then you get to a point where you think you've got them, and then you don't. Process starts again. So yeah, it's an extremely stressful, kind of pressurised environment. So I can imagine the pressure that Derek McInnes and Rangers are feeling at the moment, because a club with their expectation, a club their size, massive amount of eyes on them, hoping and looking for the next best thing, and if it doesn't come, then more pressure comes.
That's it, Stephen, as well, isn't it? I mean, we saw the gnashing of teeth after Celtic's defeat to Lask Linz. They have the Europa League, obviously. What do you imagine it would be like if Rangers didn't have European football this season?
Thermonuclear, I think, would be the only phrase for it. I mean, it's funny, because Thursdays used to be the happy place for Rangers. If you'll think back, the Europa League was where they went to relieve their stress, because even when things were going bad domestically, they could generally rely on European football to give them a pick-me-up under Philippe Clement and under Michael Beale, after a successful manager who didn't last the pace. But that hasn't really been the case recently. I mean, it was a big blow to go out the Europa League playoff, and now, of course, they have that same pressure again. And it's not just the blow to the finances of a team who have spent a lot of money this summer if they go out and don't have any European football. It's prestige. It's the same with Celtic as well. Celtic still have some group stage football, but for Rangers to have no European football at all might arguably be good for their chance of winning domestic trophies, you could say, but it's not good for Rangers as a club not to have Thursday nights to look forward to.
Okay, prediction time. Joelle, let's come to you first. Hibs, Rangers and Motherwell, who are going through?
I think Hibs and Rangers will go through.
Stephen?
Agreed, 100%.
Okay. Listen, guys, thank you very much indeed. Sports Sound is on air tonight at 4:30 on BBC Radio Scotland. All 3 matches covered, of course. And remember to join us for the Championship action live on BBC Scotland tomorrow night as well. Another big match is the Fife Derby, Dunfermline Athletic versus Raith Rovers. New time for the Championship, of course, at 7:25. Now, remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day. Make sure you don't miss out. Subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. Scottish football, the gift that keeps on giving. Thanks for listening.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.